All right. Good evening. Good morning. Good whatever wherever you're at. Good that. All right. Welcome to episode 2 of Paging Dr. Guillotine, a current events podcast that, as the title suggests, kind of tries to point out the instances of wealth and power inequality and how we tie it back into how that will lead to proletarian violence, similar to France in 1780s. So we point out the current event stuff that you know that highlights this inequality. In today's episode, which will be titled "Deny, Defend, and Depose," is you know, touching on the latest story in the news about the shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, and how a lot of people are speculating that it is due to the scam that is the healthcare system. All right, so let's discuss a little bit uh, what the situation is looking like, and kind of to recap and and analyze this uh, fascinating story that's developing. So let's just deal with what the facts are as they've been reported. All right, so it has been, I think this is the fourth day since the shooting. Yeah, it happened on the fourth. It's the eighth. Rest in peace, John Lennon. Rest in peace, Dimebag Darrell Abbott of Pantera. Both killed by gun violence December 8th, 1980. I think it was 1980. For John Lennon, and 2003, 2004. I was in the 11th grade. So when 2004, that's when Dimebag Darrell passed away, or was killed. So let's talk about Brian Thompson real quick and the facts of the case so far. So, what they know, all right, what the NYPD knows, and we're gonna go touch on that in a minute too. The suspected shooter, the adjuster, as he's being as he's being known on the interwebs, on Al Gore's internet, he traveled via bus from Atlanta to New York, about 10-ish days. He stayed at a hostel, and the only face picture that they have of this guy is from him flirting with the desk clerk at the hostel. And if all the things that we think are true, because we don't know really anything, but if all the things that we think are true, that he did this in the spirit of vigilante justice, in the face of a wildly inept, you know, inhumane, carnivorous healthcare system. If all those things are true, if he did this out of, um, you know, ideological righteousness, I hope he clapped cheeks, bro. I really hope that he got his dick wet, um, and because because after that he's on the run, so he doesn't really have time for romance after that. So I hope that he was charming enough uh, for that desk clerk, and she blessed him with the opportunity. So we know that. So the only face picture that we have is because he was trying to get him some. He rolls up on the CEO of United Healthcare around 6:45, shoots him a couple of times, gun jams. This is the speculation that he knows what he's doing. He's not just some Joe Schmo. Um, his gun jams, and he's able to unjam it and keep shooting, and then he escapes by bike. Cops said it was a city bike, but I've looked at the pictures and none of them look like city bikes. I, as a resident of this city, know what a city bike looks like, and that ain't it. So I don't know what that's all about. Also, if you escape by city bike, they're numbered, and you need the Lyft app or a city bike app, and it's tied to your credit card and all this shit. So like, it would actually be leaving a lot of um, a lot of evidence that would be used against the shooter, who we assume doesn't want to get caught. I'm just going to go on a limb. I'm guessing he doesn't want to get caught, considering he committed capital murder. So then he escapes through the park. He left yesterday, so on day 3. The cops say, like, well, we found a backpack and it has a jacket and Monopoly money, which is wild. Monopoly, for those of you that don't know, was a game designed to show people the evils of capitalism, how it could go awry, how it can turn friends into enemies, how it can destroy relationships. You've never seen a family start playing Monopoly and end happy. It's a divisive game. So the symbolism there is hilarious. And there's a we're gonna put a pin on that because I want to remember that when we get to another discussion. But I'm curious about something. Is I watch a lot of detective dramas and shit like that. I listen to a lot of podcasts and books about investigations, investigators, detectives, all that kind of shit, just to kind of get an insight a little bit into how these people think. And a lot of times, it looks one way, a crime looks one way, and it ends up being something different. And so what are some of those things that could be different? Maybe it's not about healthcare. I want it to be about healthcare. I want this to be like this big statement, but it might not be. And there's a couple of things that tell us that it, so we're going to take this time in this little portion here to discuss, what if it's something else? And so you're a CEO of a healthcare company. Essentially, your job is to take money from a large pool of people. And when those people start having issues, instead of doing the agreement of covering the cost of those health issues, you don't. You find excuses to deny claims, to deny service, to deny life-saving service in many instances. And then with that extra money, it's not extra, it's stolen. It's stolen from the pool of people that pay you to be there for them in their darkest moments, right? You take that profit and divvy it out amongst the shareholders, the people, the ruling class people that own at the core the company, right? And that's a bad thing. You're a bad person if you do that in however it plays out. If you profit from something that is a necessity, health, housing, food, things that people need to live, if you are making exorbitant profit, you're a bad person. You're a piece of shit, and you need to start, reevaluating your life. And so if you're a bad person, like, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Brian Thompson was a bad person, it's very possible that they were involved in other bad shit. Could he owe powerful people money? Absolutely. He could. You're used to screwing one group of people. Why wouldn't you intertwine your interests with some sort of element of organized crime and run afoul of them? And then they send fucking their version of the Punisher to, fuck you up outside of an investor meeting, So could that be possible? Sure. The Department of Justice is investigating this guy and a couple of other guys over at United Healthcare. They're being investigated for dumping stocks, for Wall Street fuckery. So does he have co-conspirators that, they're like, oh my God, Brian knows too much. Now Brian doesn't say shit. Was he going to say something? What was the content of his speech that he was supposed to give that day? He's the CEO. He's got to talk to the troops. What was he going to say? Was he going to blow the whistle on something? Was he going to do something very dramatic and they stopped him just in the nick of time? Who knows? Because bad people incur a bad aura around them. He was getting divorced. He was separated from his wife, getting divorced. He's about to get into that process. That's motive. He's worth a lot more to her dead than just if he stays alive and then she gets half. Now, half of a fortune is still a fucking fortune. But, greed. People are greedy. So there you have some ulterior, reasons, some other things that might not be as. And if these are the kids, this is brilliant, because if this was organized by some nefarious faction, who better to kill? What better target than someone who already has thousands, if not millions, of built-in suspects through their job? Who better? Someone who's already hated and has given motive to many people, thousands of people, parents whose children were denied life-saving treatment, spouses of people, the children of parents who were denied life-saving treatment, who were denied that chemo, who were denied that transplant, who were denied that medication, who were denied access to a specialist because he was out of network or whatever bullshit excuse they give. So, there was a tweet going around as a meme that was basically, to paraphrase, said, try to do stuff in your life that when you die, people don't cheer when they put you in the forever box. People are cheering. Why? Because he's a parasite. And so the best mark for someone who is trying to get rid of him, they couldn't have hoped for a better job. So there's a lot of other motives that could be. This shooting, where it happened, how it happened, and that homeboy got away is insane, crazy. Why is this crazy? First of all, the location of the Midtown Hilton, it's right on 6th Avenue. It's like between like West 53rd and West 54th. It's literally like across the street from the MoMA. It's in the heap of it. It's there. It's like 5 blocks from Rockefeller Center and Radio City. It's 6 blocks from Central Park. Like, it is populated, and this guy managed to get away. That's impressive. That is really the planning on that. It's wild, and that the cops just they're like, he was here. He's not here. We don't know where he is. Okay, well, tremendous. Great look, guys. So United Healthcare posts about their CEO's passing, and they have to take it down because 21,000 people reacted with the laughing emoji. 21,000 people that came across this post. And the jokes. Oh, thoughts and prayers are out of network. Like that, again, you got to find a job where people don't cheer when you die. What does that say when people cheer at your death? That you couldn't find a majority sympathetic opinion on the internet. People don't give a fuck about this guy's death. What does that say about that man? What does it say about that industry? It says a lot. So, no one feels bad because the death of someone who profits from denying care doesn't merit sympathy or empathy. A lot of people are saying, oh, he's the father of 2 and he left behind a wife. You feel bad for the kids. The kids don't really, but, you build your fortune off of misery. Where's my phone? So as of yesterday, the CEO position at the United Healthcare website has not been posted. And all these companies have started pulling the information of their leadership teams off. They're scrubbed it off the internet, which I find it funny. I truly do. I find it hilarious that when it is time to um, answer for your parasitic behavior, they're like, they hide them. They hide their CEOs. So let's discuss a little bit some of these other CEOs, and I'll post this. You'll probably see it here, right around here. It'll come up, whoop, and you'll see some of these other characters and companies and how much they make, because um, you know Brian Thompson he wasn't the best paid. He's making a ton of money, but amongst his contemporaries, he wasn't particularly high up there. Up there, but just not the highest. So some of these other CEOs of healthcare companies, you have Joseph Swedish of WellPoint. This man makes $17 million a year. That's $49,853,000 a day. What do you have to do to make that in a day? Something that a lot of people don't make in a year, or barely make in a year. You're making in a day? My guy, what are you doing? Stephen Hemsley of United Healthcare Group makes $21 million a year, $35,484 a day. These numbers are so unreal. This is what's driving inflation. CEO pay. They want to talk about how it's the poor and it's these entitlement programs that we pay into. So I don't know how it's an entitlement. It seems very much like I pay in, I should get it when I need it. David Cordani from Cigna, at two different times, he's either made $13.5 million or $27.2 million. Michael Neerdoff from Centene. What is it? Centene Corporation. $28 million a year. That's $107,000 a day. That is unreal money. Those aren't real numbers. Again, that's what's driving the CEO pay is fucking up inflation. My health insurance, Aetna. Mark Bertolini makes $30 million. $30 million a year. And I have a wild copay. Crazy high copay. And a couple more. Oh, yes. Did we talk about Stephen Hemsley? Yes, we did. Stephen Hemsley, $66 million per year. And a lot of these guys are on this list twice. I don't know why that is, but that's it's up there twice. Yeah, so yeah. And CVS Healthcare, Karen Lynch making $21 million. Joseph Zuberetsky from Molina Healthcare Group, $21.4 million. Yeah, and these, all they do is just figure out ways to reduce services, to not provide services to the people who need them, the people who have paid for you to be there. So let's discuss a little bit. The FBI is joining this investigation, probably because it has crossed state lines, which now makes it a federal thing. But and we'll talk about this, just the amount of attention this case is getting when people get shot in New York City all the time. All right, but they've joined the investigation, and they upped the reward. The reward was 10 grand for any information leading to an arrest, and now it's 50 grand. And people have been very quiet, apparently. There's been a lot of sympathetic action around this. There was a CEO shooter lookalike contest at Washington Square Park. Hilarious. People are not sympathetic to this. They're not. They're siding with the shooter, and that's. We'll get to this. We'll get to how the ruling class is addressing or reacting to this later. But just in terms of the the amount of funds being used, right? It's been 4 days, and the very, very best that the $5.75 billion budget NYPD has been able to do is a couple of blurry pictures and blurry videos, a backpack full of Monopoly money, no murder weapon, the shell casings, which give us the namesake of this episode, and that he probably left New York City. He's like, oh, he's probably gone. I think it's time to audit the NYPD. And because the compared to how many cases get solved and how much money they spend, there's some math doesn't math with them. And I don't foresee an audit of any kind under the regime of, President back or Mayor back the blue. Eric Adams and his crooked ass. And then again, so they're talking about how the reaction of the ruling class. Ben Shapiro posted, as Ben Shapiro does, over dramatic, whiny bullshit. Oh my God, the radical left. The radical left is cheering the death of a CEO. And he got ratioed in his own fucking comment section. The people are like, no. I'm not a leftist in whatever that means to you. People are saying I'm not a leftist, and I just want my family to have health insurance. And this is where the Democrats have fucked up, because this message, this anti-corporate message, crosses party lines, and we're seeing it here. We're seeing it in Ben Shapiro's own comment section. Where people go, no, this is amusing to me too. I too have had a relative. I've had to watch someone suffer when they didn't have to. It crosses lines. This is why that quote unquote progressive message that was supported by Bernie Sanders, and which a lot of people wanted to push even further, we go, oh, this would be popular because it affects everybody. Everybody gets fucked over by the insurance companies. Everybody's getting poisoned by big agra. Everybody's getting spied on and having their precious data stolen by big tech. Everybody. Some final thoughts. This is the only action that the ruling class will understand. And the reason I say that is because the day or the day before the shooting happened, Blue Cross Blue Shield announced that if your surgery takes longer than they deem it should, God forbid you have a complication or something mid-surgery and the surgery goes long, they won't cover the extended time of anesthesia, right? And they're not going to not give you anesthesia during surgery. They would if they could get away with it. If insurance companies could get away with not having an anesthesiologist, they would. They would make you suffer if it didn't cause such an outrage. And this did cause an outrage. People were visibly outraged at this cruel approach to trying to get out of paying some shit, right? And as soon as this was all tied to, the shooting may have been healthcare related, Blue Cross Blue Shield, they backpedaled extra fast. And that's what they understand. Outrage and potentially violence. And maybe even the threat of violence was enough. And, it's very possible that this is what it'll take to usher in universal health care in this country. When it becomes, when being a parasitic CEO is bad for your health, then they might be like, you know what? Universal healthcare is actually safer for the CEO class, so now we're going to usher it in. And then this, extending on the conversation, forcing healthcare to be tied to your labor, to your work, where you're working, stifles innovation. It keeps people down that could be innovating and improving our economy. So to have that, it's almost if you're like, I believe in competitive capitalism where there's a lot of competitors and they're fighting, but whatever that, Adam Smith argument is, then this should make sense to you, that forcing healthcare to be part of employment, it stifles innovation. Because now people can't pursue the thing, because if they leave their job, they have to pay for insurance out of pocket, and that's wildly expensive. All right, and the actions like what we saw Blue Cross Blue Shield do last week, about not trying to skirt covering anesthesia costs. Is the healthcare industry waging war on working class people? And if everything that we think is true about the shooter, that he is motivated by being wronged by the healthcare industry, that is the working class waging war back. And they don't have the power of lawyers and paid off politicians. What do they have? We have a country where there is 7 guns for every citizen. That's who you're fucking with. That is the hornet's nest that you are swatting at with deductibles and premiums. So fuck around and find out. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. This is the shit that happens. I'm not condoning it per se, but I'm not going to act surprised when I see it. I go, oh yeah, that makes sense. That is how people react to injustice. That is assuming that it all is what we think it is. And then the last point, and it goes back to the FBI being involved, and it goes back to how much attention this crime gets. A bunch of people get killed in New York City every day. Gun violence, knife violence, blunt object violence, all kinds of violence. And this case is just cutting through that. And why? Or not so much why the news is cutting through, but why is so much attention being given by the law enforcement community? Because if this goes unpunished, it sets a terrible precedent. Not president, precedent. Terrible one. Or at least one that's terrible for the ruling class. And that's what really scares the shit out of those folks. That they're like, oh my God, he killed one of us and he didn't get caught? Yeah. Okay. I'm surprised that this guy has remained free for more than 48 hours, because that is really the amount of time that the law enforcement community has the best shot of bringing this to a closure. Every day after that, every hour, every minute beyond that, it gets exponentially more difficult. And so yeah, so I'm curious to see where this goes. I'm curious to see if we have reason that's given if we're going to get that full story. I'm very curious. I'd love to see what this is all about. That's the end. That's it for me. In the bottom there will be socials. You can reach out to me. You can tell me you hate it. You could tell me that you love it. You know the show. Let me know. Just let me know what's up. On Instagram, on Twitter, at Marco R. Lamas. We are I don't know what this we shit is. I am working on establishing a Patreon for a bunch of my projects, under the Test Kitchen banner, which is this space, my studio, the Test Kitchen. I'm gonna have some music out at the end of this episode. You will hear something I've been cooking, something that's been cooking in the kitchen. So there will be some tie into that, and yeah, we're working on some goals, which will be on the Patreon, which will be including trying to raise funds to put out projects produced here, music projects, podcast projects. I want to be able to extend the ability to micro broadcast to people who I think have an interesting voice but don't have an outlet. So that's what we're working on. And then same thing on the music end. I'm trying to find artists that I like and produce, and but that'll be on the sister podcast to this one, which will be all about my musical endeavors. So I hope you enjoy. Like, subscribe, all that good shit, and follow on the social medias, and let's chat. All right, so that's it for me. Peace.